Vice Mayor Strange, you'll address her properly.
You can kiss my foot.
Mr. Rickard, you're out of order.
FBI, we are asking you to investigate this council. Please look into this council, how they award contracts, the bid process, how they use their positions to benefit their friends and themselves, how they use their positions to attack residents and critics and neighbors and business competition. FBI, will you please look into this?
And I welcome the FBI here. If you notice, Mr. Thompson, with his plea for the FBI and his watchdog group, this city runs the cleanest in this whole county. I guarantee
He was served a federal subpoena this morning.
We did receive a subpoena this morning, and we're going to cooperate 100% with the subpoena. And
Most of you who were involved up here, you gaslighted me. You tried to say I was crazy. And now we know that that's not true. And there's a lot of other issues I've been asking about as well.
All right. Last night, I showed you an interview with Panama City Beach Mayor Mark Sheldon, and it was done November 18. It's on YouTube, and it's with a local pastor by the name of Dr. Steve Taylor, who I don't remember ever meeting. So this is not a criticism of Dr. Taylor. He's hosting a new show called Good News Bay. All right. And to bring you good news, they're bringing on people like former Congressman, now lobbyist Steve Sutherland, County Commissioner Griff Griffiths, and Mayor Mark Sheldon. And yesterday I showed you the first half of the interview, which I think is about 37 minutes long. So I'm going to focus on the second half today of that interview because it's pretty revealing. And I'm eager to see your comments, what you think of Mayor Mark Sheldon. Does he come across as sincere? Do you believe him? Is he telling the truth? Yesterday, they spent a lot of time talking about the importance of bringing the stormwater drains, right? The discharge of stormwater into the Gulf. And right now, the city got two of them, and they got awarded $21 million by lying to the state, getting a grant, after they flooded the Lowwater subdivision on purpose, and then said, look how bad the flooding is after they did it. And 21 houses were damaged and so forth. And Mayor Sheldon, where I'm going to pick it up, is about a minute or two before I left off yesterday, because I just want you to hear again, Mayor Mark Sheldon talk about how excited he is that the state could be awarding them more tens of millions of dollars. He wants to put underground pipes, gigantic pipes. He wants to dig up the Gulf of Mexico under the water. And their own consultants said they would pull out rocks the size of Volkswagens. Imagine what that would do if there were, say, 18 of these under the seabed of the Gulf, discharging stormwater from wetlands. What would that do to our Gulf? What would that do to the stability? What would that do to the riptides? You're going to hear Mark Sheldon say, where we pick it up on the interview, how he's looking forward to getting many more of these grants and doing many more of these stormwater drains. This is stuff that you'll never be told by the local news outlets who do know about it. At least the news directors do and the high ups do. But they're not allowed to tell you because Mayor Mark Sheldon is also the owner of the concert of the concerts, the music festivals, Gulf Coast Jam and Sand Jam. And he gets $735,000 a year from the Tourist Development Council to market his own concerts. And some of that money he spends on the parent companies of WMBB, WJHG, right? So they're not allowed to criticize Mayor Sheldon, or some of that money he gets and spends on the parent companies could get cut off. Yeah. So let's go right to this interview that's on YouTube. By the way, yesterday, I think there were only like 38 views. And after yesterday's show, there's like close to I think we added like almost nearly 400 views. So good. I want more people to see Mayor Mark Sheldon talking openly. So let's do that. Good News Bay, Dr. Steve Taylor interviewing Panama City Beach Mayor Mark Money Mover Sheldon. Now I call him that because he's involved with like 24 or so LLCs. So here's where he's going to talk about how he wants a whole bunch more. He wants tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars of grants so that they can award it to their buddy contractors and dig up the Gulf of Mexico in Panama City Beach to discharge stormwater. All right, let's get right to it, and let me know how the volume is.
Absolutely in the works, and we're really excited. And like I say, if we could do all of them, man, I would love it. And I hope we can get some more support from the state to continue to do more of them, because they are so good for the beach, so good for the environment. And you start looking at the turtles. One of my favorite things to do, we'll walk on the beach. My kids are like, there's a nest, you know. And you start thinking about turtles they can't navigate those things, right? Those outfalls. They're hard. And that's one of the special things that we have here, you know, the cycle of the beauty of it, right? And you look at those type of things and you say, we're really in a unique spot. Where else do turtles come and nest on your beach, right? And to be able to give them another clean canvas to nest on, another check mark for me.
Let me know how the volume is in the comments.
Let's talk a little bit about leadership and how you were able to handle this. I'm not taking this direct out of script, okay? But how I admire your resilience as a leader at a time that really, no matter what you do, it's going to get criticized.
Sure.
I am so grateful that we were able to keep the economy rolling.
Yes, sir.
Economically, in a country that right now the economy is in a really tough spot, we're doing pretty.
Notice right off the bat, Dr. Steve Taylor, local pastor, says that you get criticized. It would be great. It would be great if Dr. Taylor, you know, talked to those who criticized Mayor Sheldon. Remember that Mayor Sheldon is remember. Okay, here we go. Remember that Mayor Sheldon is the whole city is under subpoena by the FBI for federal corruption. Oh, good volume. Okay, thank you. So remember, the whole city is under subpoena for corruption. You know, I'm not making this stuff up, Dr. Taylor. And I think this is the first time they ever met. I think they said, all right, I'm going to let this roll for a little bit.
Doing pretty well as a community, right?
We're doing great as a community. And it's funny you mentioned that. One thing some people may know or may not know is Panama City Beach is the largest city in the state of Florida without an ad valorem tax. So we have no personal property tax. So when you pay your tax bill to Chuck Perdue, yeah, he loves to come in here and collect taxes, as he talks about the tax man. When Chuck sends out his tax bill, Panama City Beach doesn't get any of that. Every other municipality gets a local tax. So we have to survive on a 1% business tax receipt. So when the pandemic started, we got very nervous, because if tourism stops, if the economy slows down at all,
right,
we don't have a nest egg because we don't have a guaranteed income.
It directly affects you.
Yes, sir. We have hey, the calendar rolls, Chuck gets his money. The calendar rolls at the beach, we don't. We have to make sure that people are still shopping. They're still coming to buy goods and services and using the amenities that we have. Otherwise, we have to start looking at, you know, cost cutting, and cost cutting for us means people. We can't afford to cut. I want to add more people, right? I feel like the beach, we should have more staff. So it's really a challenging thing, but that's the uniqueness of who we are as the beach as well. To be able to still not have an ad valorem tax makes us such a place people do want to live, because hey, they can come live here and not pay that extra tax as well.
Right. Well, I think it's amazing that, because I personally was.
I want to comment on what my sweetheart, Miss Sarah Moon, just said. She said he called it a tax. What she means by that is Panama City Beach is one of only 2 cities, I believe, in the whole state of Florida. There are 412 cities in Florida, and Panama City Beach is one of only 2 without an ad valorem tax, which is the tax that normally funds a municipality. So where does Panama City Beach get its funding from? Well, they're one of the very few cities that has a local sales tax, but a local sales tax is illegal according to the state. So the city says that it's not a tax, it is a merchant fee. So the stores within city limits charge a 1% sales tax, but it's not really a 1% sales tax. They just collect it to pay the city. Now, the city says they don't have to charge 1%, but they do have to give us the merchant fee, which is 1% of what they bring in. So it's a game that they play by calling it something else, but it is indeed a sales tax. And when they talk candidly like this, they tell the truth. All right. And this guy right here, Mayor Mark Sheldon, is very eager to implement an ad valorem tax as well. That's coming. They've been threatening that for a while, and there is a new change in the state law that would allow the city to do that without going through a vote by the residents. That's right, William. A tax by any other name is still a tax. All right, let's get back to this.
Was concerned for you guys at the beach, knowing that in the summer season with record numbers, how are you going to handle the folks like the restaurants and all that stuff? And it hasn't been easy, but we managed. They
got through. And I think that's the resiliency of not just Panama City Beach, but Bay County, right? I think between Hurricane Michael and everything else that we've seen, this is a community. I mean, it kind of gives me goosebumps when you start talking about it, because it's a community that I don't care who.
You're making me smile.
Well, I know, but because I get so heartfelt about it, because it's a community. Again, the reason we live here, you can choose to live anywhere. Mm-hmm. You choose to live here because it's an amazing place.
Absolutely.
And when you start thinking about it, you just know anybody in this community is willing to roll up their sleeves and help their neighbor, and that's what really gets you excited about it.
I love Bay County. Tell me, you were real excited about a teaching hospital that is coming. Mm-hmm. If people haven't seen this, it's a partnership between St. Joe Company,
yes, sir,
Tallahassee Memorial,
yes, sir,
and FSU.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when I heard FSU, I pastored over in Jacksonville for a while, and they have a Shands Hospital that's a research hospital. There's one in Gainesville, and then there's a lot of UF medical students in the Jacksonville version of that.
Sure.
It sounds like that this hospital that they're creating is one where a relatively new FSU medical, not UF, FSU medical school is maybe expanding in some way over to this area, because obviously they're going to have students here at a teaching hospital. Right. Are they going to be expanding the FSU program?
Okay, so it's interesting, isn't it, that they know how everybody's going to vote already on all this stuff. Now, I think these things can be very good for the community. The problem is these guys. I said yesterday that the mayor gets $1.5 million a year total from the Tourist Development Council put on his music festival. And the TDC has given him, I don't know, do the math. What is it, like $12 million since 2015? Probably more than that. Now, the TDC could have used that money. Do you know this? Could have used that money for infrastructure. All those tourists come here and they use the roads and they get used up. They need to be fixed. This council will not fix the roads. They will not fix the flooding, because, as they said in a recent meeting, if they put a shovel in the ground, then they lose a chance to get more funding to pay their contractor buddies. God knows what the kickbacks are, but it's really. But he gets goosebumps about. He gets goosebumps. He says he just wants to roll up his sleeves and help. Says Mayor Mark Sheldon. Who believes that? Or who believes that, well, who believes that he's got his hand in too many cookie jars?
Hand caught in the cookie jar? Sometimes bad habits continue even into adulthood. I'm El Saulene, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, let's get back to the interview.
One of the things when I was running for office that really was a glaring need for Panama City Beach, and I know it's been worked on for a long time, and we work on it. Again, it's another one of those things that we work on consistently, is getting this hospital here. I think you'll start to see some major activity on that next year. It's already been announced. We know what's coming. But the part I love the most about this teaching hospital is the fact that the youth of our community now have another avenue. They have another occupational opportunity. And when I think about that, I think about my kids, right? I think about everybody's kids. And I start thinking, man, if they don't want to be in hospitality or they don't want to be in one of the traditional beach jobs, what can they do? And here's another opportunity for folks in Bay County and the surrounding areas to realize this hospital is coming, and it's not just going to be a small little hospital.
Right.
It's going to be built in phases, 4 phases or so. And by the time it's done, it's going to have hundreds of hospital beds. So hundreds of hospital beds equate to thousands of jobs. And that's what's coming to our community. And it'll be a teaching hospital. The research component to this hospital is the part that excites me the most. So not only are you going to have the smartest professors teaching the smartest students, you're also going to have cutting edge technology and research inside this hospital. So if you go there for something different, you're going to have the opportunity to have the smartest people there digging into it and looking at it from the research component. So the hospital is something I get very, very excited about and very passionate about because I know we need it and I know our community needs it. And I think it's such a great opportunity.
Well, they do need it. If you're coming back across the bridge a little bit, right, and you're looking at the FSUPC campus, they just opened this fall semester on-campus housing.
Yes, sir.
And that is a part of honestly, for decades, I think they've wanted to be able to grow that campus life, to have more offered over here, to be able to increase that. We are meeting through some of the college ministry that we have at the church. We're meeting college students that are moving from other places like Houston, right?
Yes.
And they're moving to our community for that. And it sounds like I don't even know if it's fair that you would know all of it, but it sounds like to me that the college has interest in continuing to grow their own campus programs as well.
I think that's a very fair assessment. And I think when you see the name of the hospital and everything as it comes out, it's going to be very, very driven by that. The folks at TMH are just phenomenal. Mark O'Brien, the CEO, and Andrew Starr, they're here every other week. They're in our community every other week because they know how important this is and how it's going to transform kind of this marketplace for them.
When I was interviewing Chuck, Purdue, he knows where a lot of the developments happen because he signs off on a lot of those plats. In process, I was trying to get him to put in perspective for me how big the development's going to be, the Margaritaville development. And as he described it to me, he basically said, when it gets done in size, it will be the largest 55 plus development in the country.
Correct.
And so I'm just putting pieces together. When I was reading the St. Joe Company article about this, the hospital, they're literally trying to plan ahead, knowing that medical needs are going to be an essential part of what they have. And so what I love about this concept of planning, where you've got business leaders that want growth, you've got community leaders that are forward thinking, that have a little bit of business background.
Right.
I mean, you're not a politician, you're a businessman.
Absolutely. And the city is a business. It should be run like a business. And that's a very forward for me to say, but that's how I feel.
Okay, I want to get a little philosophical with you. First of all, I want you to hear him. Mark Sheldon's a businessman. Do you know where he gets his revenue? He gets his revenue from the Tourist Development Council, from tax money. It's awarded to him. He does not earn that money. The money the TDC gives to Mayor Sheldon, $1.5 million a year, again, could be used to improve local infrastructure. But instead, it is given as it is given to promote and to run his music festivals. Okay. Therefore, the county says, well, we need to fix infrastructure, so we need a 0.5-cent sales tax. Well, you wouldn't need a 0.5-cent sales tax if you weren't lining this guy's pockets, number one. But here's something that people say a lot. And I want to just philosophically, I want to share this with you. This is something I've studied and thought about for about a quarter of a century. All right. And when I say study, I mean study. Look, I've got a bachelor's degree in political science. I have a master's degree in journalism. But I didn't learn most of what I know in school. But still, I think it's important to put forth that work and discipline, to be a professional, to do your craft as best you can. It's important to me. I'm proud of it. But when you hear politicians say that we should run government like a business, I'm going to tell you why that's not right and why that's impossible. The role of government should be to protect your rights and to provide the basic public goods like real storm drains, roads, and so on and so forth, to protect your rights as well. Government is not there to make a profit. That's what business is for. And businesses should make a profit by providing goods and services that people want to buy voluntarily. You get good stuff and the business owner makes a profit. That's a business. Here is why it is impossible to run a government like a business. This is going to be, if you haven't heard it already, the most profound thing you've heard in a long time. And I can tell you it in 1 minute. Here's why a government cannot operate like a business. There are 4 ways that you can spend money. The first way that you can spend money is you can spend your own money on something for yourself. And if you do that, you care a lot about the price, it's your money, and you care a lot about the thing. You care about the quality of the thing. It's your stuff. The second way that you can spend money is you can spend your money on somebody else, like a gift. If you do that, you still care a lot about the what? The price. It's your money. But you don't care quite as much about the quality. These are natural incentives. Now, the third way that you can spend money is you can spend somebody else's money on you. And when you, like an expense account, like when I was in the Air Force and I'd go on a TDY, I'd find myself with that money in the nicest restaurants, eating the nicest steaks. Why? Because I cared a lot about the quality and not as much about the money. It wasn't my money. I could only spend it there, but I cared a lot about the quality. That's the third way you can spend money. Here's the fourth and final way that you can spend money. You can spend somebody else's money on somebody else. And when you do that, you don't care about the money as much. There's no natural incentive, and you don't care about the quality as much. It's the worst of the worst. And when you consider that politicians do that to win votes, it's a double whammy. When you spend somebody else's money on somebody else, there's no natural incentive to worry about the quality of the goods or the cost. That is how government operates. By natural incentives, it cannot possibly be run like a business. Now, that's not to say we don't want people in there thinking of it as a business, the best goods and services, trying to please the consumer, all of that stuff. But the government should never be out to make a profit. And the government has no incentive to worry as much about the cost or the quality of something as you do with your own money and your own stuff. That is a lesson from Milton Friedman. That's where I learned that lesson. This is so important to know that you cannot expect best business practices from a government. In fact, there are hidden incentives. And they're the incentives that this guy, who calls himself a businessman, but is really a charlatan who barely escaped the dragnet in the early 2000s from Alabama. He came here from Alabama. His business partner went to prison, Ronnie Gilly, for nearly 7 years. And he landed here in 2015. And now he's playing the same games. Very important stuff, right? But let's listen to these guys talk about how important it is to run government like a business.
The city is big business, and it needs to be run like a business. It's very different than some of the old mindset.
Agreed. And I guess kind of taking off of that, it's why I loved hearing people like Bob Micah talk about being an entrepreneur. He used the term that we don't have to do it the way we've always done it. If there's something that works better, that's cheaper, that's more efficient, that gets a better job, then you do it. I heard the same thing, and I keep using Chuck's name, but he's a friend of yours and someone that we interviewed on a previous podcast. That's how he's running the tax office, with the idea of ingenuity in mind. And so all of these different entities are working together. I also know how this works with the school system, right?
Yes, sir.
Because we've got people that are coming out of our high schools. We have a need. We've got a job market now that they're beginning to develop some things that, like you said, that would allow for maybe better income, but certainly other options for those that are coming here. So all that together is something to truly be excited about. And you are. I'm
very excited about it. And doing different is the best thing we can do, because doing it the same way is not always the right way. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't care whether it's at home, whether it's on a ball field, right? I'm an old school baseball coach. I used to think of things differently. Now I watch too many videos and I realize, man, I was wrong all those years. I should be doing it different, right? And teaching the youth a different way. You just got to adapt. And I think that's the best part about the government inside Panama City Beach itself right now. And I think Bay County as a whole, from talking to some of the other leaders in the county, is every one of us is willing to adapt quickly. And I think that's the most important thing is when you see it's working, you see it's not working, you make those that adapt and move on.
So our word for the year at the church has been flexagility.
Flexagility.
So to be flexible means to bend as needed, right?
Yes.
Flexagility, as I've defined it, is to be able to bend in real time, like as needed in a quick manner as times necessitate.
I hope it's okay. I'm going to steal that.
You can.
I'm absolutely going to steal that because I think that is phenomenal. That's how I feel because we have to adapt. You have to be flexible.
Yeah.
Because
move at the pace of real life.
And the pace of real life today isn't the pace of real life of the past. And that's why you have to adapt to be, you have to have flexagility, as you would say.
Well, and what makes it so hard is we've got more generations alive at one time.
Yes, sir.
At a time that the pace of change is greater than it's ever been. And when change is occurring at a great pace, all these trends and processes were like, well, why is it not like it used to be? Because it's changing faster than it's ever changed.
And it will continue to get faster. Right.
Yes.
So you have to be forward thinking enough to realize that there is change out there, and change is good. There's folks who don't like a lot of change, and I'm a change person. I want it to be better, faster, quicker, done, move on, next. And I think that's the way to do it.
I'm not a change person, but I've been forced.
It's kind of funny to watch everyone here laugh when I talk about I love change. They're all like, he does not love change.
But we've changed a lot. I mean, I've had to. It's been change or die. I mean, you just.
If you don't have flexagility, you're going to be left behind.
John Maxwell says change is certain.
For sure.
Growth is optional. And so since change is coming, you've got to make the adjustment.
I don't think growth is optional for us anymore. I think in Bay County, growth is absolutely part of what we are. I don't think you see growth slowing down because, again, it's paradise. My wife and I talk about it all the time. If you're having a bad day, drive down Front Beach Road in Panama City Beach. Yeah. I implore everyone to do it. You know why? We live where people spend thousands of dollars a year to vacation. They save their hard-earned money to come here and spend time in our community because of the natural God-given beauty we have on.
That is true in the off season. But boy, it is, you can't drive down Front Beach Road. They've ruined it. They blocked off lanes. And speaking of natural beauty, you've got Mayor Sheldon again, who wants to discharge stormwater and dig up the Gulf under the seabed all the way up and down the beach. They're going for more grants. They want about 18 of these things. They've got 2 of them now that they're working on. Wait till you see what that does to fishing by the pier, by the city pier. If people who like to fish off the city pier, they should be freaking out about this. All right. I want to thank my sponsors, and then we're going to get back to the rest of the interview with Mayor Sheldon. Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777. It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan could make sure your air conditioning is running at peak efficiency. He could even install a new one, built to a higher standard, American standard. Find out more at pcairrepair.com. Back to the interview.
On Panama City Beach. I don't care how bad your day is. Drive down Front Beach Road. Look at the water. Look at the sand. It's amazing.
Talking about, and I don't know what else you'd call it except the therapy of hearing the waves when it's sitting on the beach. I mean, Christmas.
Therapeutic's the right word.
It's not too early to talk about Christmas for me. In an ideal world, it's going to be flip-flops and some shorts. And a white Christmas would mean that I'm sitting on the beach listening to the waves crash at one of the most beautiful times of the season.
Sure.
Or the whole year, really, for sunsets, right? And that's what we're known for. I wanted to take the time to mention some of the things that happen locally. I've got listeners and viewers that are new from other states that have moved here. They love this place. They may not be traveling all the way back to Texas or Ohio or Pennsylvania or the places that they're from for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Sure.
And we do some unique things on the beach.
Absolutely.
We're going to link some of those, but I want to get the name right. Beach Home for the Holidays.
Great event. And I love it. Arabessa Park. It's where we just open up and start talking about who we are as a community. Such a family event. And that's more and more what the beach is all the time, is the family aspect, obviously near and dear to me. But
you ran on that platform.
It's what it's about. The reason I ran for office was my daughter. It's a unique story, but she was 8 years old and I came home from a council meeting. I was there as a resident participant. I was, getting some, looking to get something passed for my other business. And I got it done. I got home and she just kind of looked.
You got to forgive me. He ran for office for his family. Do you know what he's talking about when he said my other business? He's talking about the music festivals, Gulf Coast Jam. The day that he ran for office, that he signed up to run for office, he came to a morning meeting at 9 a.m., Panama City Beach, and he got, it's usually, I think there are 2-year contracts that Gulf Coast Jam and Sand Jam usually got from the city of Panama City Beach. But when Mark Sheldon decided in late 2017 or early 2018 that he was going to run or it would have been 2019 or early 2020, that he was going to run for mayor, he came to a city council meeting. I was there. I addressed the council and I had to bring this up. It was very uncomfortable. And I said, look, you guys are doing this now because as soon as he signs up to be a candidate, he cannot do this. He cannot extend the contract to 5 years. And Mayor Mike Pay-to-Play Thomas at the time told me I was a liar. It's all on video. Do you know that when this man, Mark Sheldon, left that meeting, he went straight to the supervisor of elections office and isn't that incredible, Miss Sarah Moon? And he signed up to run for office within an hour from the time the other mayor called me a liar. And he just said my other business, he just flew through that. That's the only reason that he ran, was because he wants all of our kids to have a better life. That's it. This guy is shameless. And I just had to tell you the story. One more thing. He has a tell, by the way. When he starts talking and he starts lying, he does his shoulder a lot. So if you ever see him start to do this, if I was playing him in poker, let's just say that's when I'm going all in, right? Whenever he starts doing this, it's a little tell. It's a little thing that he does. These are things I pick up on.
Kind of looked at me and said, "What's wrong?" She's 8. Nothing. Why? What's wrong? Well, just the meeting was just odd. It was different, right? It just didn't have a great feel to it. Fix it. Now this 8-year-old's kind of telling me what I need to do, right? And all of a sudden I'm like, well, baby, it's fine. We got what we wanted. Everyone just wasn't as sweet as I like people to be. And it didn't run the way I would run a meeting. And she looked at me point blank, dead in the eyes. And I'll never forget this. I've told the story a bunch of times. She said, well, you need to fix it. You tell us to do the right thing. And I'm like, but baby, to fix it, I'd have to become the mayor. She said, become the mayor. It's like, oh, okay. You're 8. You stop giving me a hard time, essentially, right? And then my wife.
I cannot believe he's saying this. I just told you he left that meeting and went straight to the supervisor of elections office and applied to run that day. He wasn't thinking it over. I didn't. The first time I watched this interview, I didn't catch that. I mean, goodness, to stand on your own family and lie about that's unbelievable. If you would lie, go look at the date he signed up to run for office. Whatever I tell you is verifiable. All right, I got to get back to this. I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
My wife and I started praying about it, and the more we talked about it and the more I stepped back and listened to that 8-year-old, I realized she was right. And that there was a lot of things that I felt like we could do. And one of the days I've never been more proud is the day of my vestiture when I got put into office, and my kids are there holding the Bible as my wife is reading it, and the looks in their faces. There's a picture hanging in my office at City Hall that someone took for me, and the look in my kids' eyes told me it was all worth it. And continuing to fight for the youth is what I'll always do, good, bad, or indifferent. At the end of the day, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and I put my head on my pillow knowing I'm going to do the best thing I can do for Panama City Beach and Bay County every day for the youth of this community, because that's the future. And
Right.
I look around and I see your staff, and I start thinking, it gets me excited to think you surrounded yourself with more youth of the community, and you have a leadership role with them, and you're changing their lives every day. And when you can do that, humble or not, that's what you're doing. And when you can do that and you make a positive step for people, we win.
We absolutely do. I love that. And I will tell you that before I didn't get a vote because I live on, I mean, obviously not on the beach, but I was asking about you because I wanted to know you were a guy for family value. That matters to me a lot.
That's it.
And since then, I actually, knowing that you were coming on the show, I started asking around with the guys that are out there and like, tell me about Mark Sheldon. Mayor Sheldon, what is he doing a good job? Is he somebody that you can get? And really, they've been very complimentary of the job. They generally, I mean, they enjoy the way that you get things done, and see the vision that you have for the beaches.
We have an amazing community, and it rallies together. And that's what I love about it, is everyone's really pulling the same way. Everyone wants the best for the beach. Trust me, we're never going to do something going back even to the Outfall Project. Not one of the 5 of us sitting up there on that dais would ever do anything to harm Panama City Beach.
Right.
You're only going to do what's going to make the beach better.
Right.
How can you make it better?
Wow. All of them are under FBI subpoena for public corruption. That means that a grand jury said there was probable cause based on information provided to them. The employees at City Hall are miserable under this regime. There are whistleblower lawsuits that are tremendous, that are huge. The former city manager, Tony O'Rourke, is going to win a big whistleblower lawsuit. There's a racial discrimination lawsuit that's real. And it's scheduled for March. I think it's going to get pushed back, but wait till you see the kind of the way that this guy and his regime treats the staff in Panama City Beach. When somebody comes to them and says, hey, we think that there's some wrongdoing in City Hall, they get fired immediately. They hate City Hall. Look, I talk to people. All right. People trust me. And no, people hate it there. They liked it better under Mike Pay-to-Play Thomas, because the difference is Mayor Thomas, as corrupt as old Boss Hogg was, at least you knew where he stood, right? He was one of those guys that will say to your face what he'll say behind your back. Mayor Sheldon's a little different. He's also a bully, and in some ways, he's even a bigger bully than Mayor Mike Pay-to-Play Thomas. But to listen to him talk about leadership, if you know anybody who works in Panama City Beach, in City Hall for Panama City Beach government, ask them what the climate is like there, and you'll hear the truth.
Well, you're not going to spend $21 million to hurt something.
Right.
Especially the last thing we want to hurt is the thing that draws everybody here, which is the sand between your toes at Christmas time.
Yeah.
If we mess that up, well, then we've really hurt millions of dollars for our community, and that's the last thing we can afford to do.
Agreed.
Unless he
I
runs
think one
off
the
out of
things
this
that I wanted
area.
to try to communicate to folks is this is a year where it's important for us to take the time to be thankful.
Mm.
You know, whatever the circumstances are, we need to just, I mean, by the time this airs, it's going to be, we'll be in November, right? And we might as well start early being thankful. And then as Christmas rolls around, make a decision that we're going to celebrate, you know, and choose to get out. I mean, people are hungry for community. They're hungry to be out and do. I think there'll be more opportunity for that at the beaches this year. If people are new and don't know, we'll also keep the link for the New Year's Eve ball drop, which
Absolutely. Another great family event, right? That's what really drives the community aspect to it.
I almost am scared to ask, do you know yet if we're doing a Christmas parade on the beach?
Yes, we are.
We are.
Yeah, it's already been approved. We
So-
actually, that got approved today.
Well, hopefully there's a link
we
we can put somewhere that tells
Yeah.
people where to go to find that.
Yeah,
Because
the Optimist Club puts it on each year for us out at the beach. Very thankful for that group. They do so much giving in our community.
So the Optimist Club, Mayor Sheldon just referenced. Do you know where? I can't make. Do you know who knows where the Optimist Club meets? They meet at Mike's Diner. They meet at Mike's Diner, at the diner of the former mayor, Mike Pay to Play Thomas.
The road closures got through today and all that, so we're moving forward with the Christmas parade.
that is so good. Is there anything else that I've missed? Yep, I see one here. Tell me about the fire station on the East End. That's some more good news.
That's some great news. Something else we're working on very diligently on is through our state representatives and our state senators. Very thankful for, again, it's the team. Everybody cares about Bay County. And our East End fire station is one we really need to move. It's on Middle Beach Road now. It serves more of the unincorporated residents of Panama City Beach than it really does the residents of Panama City Beach. But that's our joint work with Bob and his team right at the county side. So again, we support each other and we want to make sure we're helping to take care of that East End. But our East End fire station is outdated. It's small. Times have changed, obviously, and it doesn't bode well for men and women in the same building. Even it doesn't have all the aspects that it should have, like our new fire stations. And it's not a safe facility right now. If a storm comes through, they have to leave the fire station because they have to seek shelter at a different fire station. And you start thinking about that. The people that are there to protect us can't be where they need to be. So we're working very hard to build a new fire station. And that's something that excites me as well, because it's more forward thinking. Do we have to do it? No. But is it the right thing to do? Absolutely. And we do have to do it because we're transforming and we're growing as a community. And we know the more growth, the more service, the more calls for service, and the more these folks do. Again, our first responders in Panama City Beach are some of the greatest people you will ever meet. We had at our meeting this morning, and I know this will air later on, but we had a bunch of employee recognition, and it's 30 years, and it's 20 years, and it's 15 years, and 5 years. And the amount of time that people, when they get into our family of employment at the beach, they don't leave because it is a great place to be. And we have such a great leadership team. We're just really blessed over there.
It's good.
It's great.
I love being able to say incredible things about our community. It's great to have a conversation with somebody else that loves the community like I do, that I really have never gotten the privilege to have much of a conversation with. I look forward to seeing you
too.
Whether it's at a restaurant on the beach or
out here.
Yes.
There's no reason it has to be one way or the other.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming and sharing some good news with us today and being our guest on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being friends.
Absolutely.
Same thing, though. I almost got through a whole one. I just said I want to make this distinction, okay? Because speaking good about the community, I absolutely understand what Dr. Steve Taylor is saying, but the distinction I want to make is speaking good about the government. That were all of these guys, every one of them sitting up there, all five of them, when they ran for office, they did not campaign. Mark Sheldon, for example. He never campaigned on discharging stormwater into the Gulf. He never campaigned on adding or increasing assessments, which are taxes by another name. He never talked about creating a climate inside of City Hall that is so packed full of corruption that they get a sweeping FBI subpoena, where a grand jury said, yeah, we see probable cause here. We didn't see any of that. It's not good to speak about the community to praise somebody who is taking $1.5 million a year from the Tourist Development Council that could be going to infrastructure. And then you have the other guys they're bragging about in the county commission saying we need a 0.5 cent sales tax to improve our infrastructure. All of us know we can improve our roads and our storm drains, the potholes. For God's sake, we need that. But they're not spending money on that. They're giving it to Mark Sheldon so that he can give much of it to the parent companies of the local news stations, so the local news stations won't talk bad about him, but instead act as his PR firm. That is different. The community is you. The community are the people who are working, who are being assessed, who are being taxed. That's the community. Government is not a community. All right? We are a country with a government, not a government with a country. Nationally, we need to remember that, and we've needed to remember that for a long, long time. And locally, we need to remember that too. Amen? We are a community with a government. We are not a government with a community. And I told you earlier the biggest difference between government and private people. All right, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank again all of you who support my work, to include the Unknown Patriot, another sponsor, and those of you who are patrons. Thank you so much for being a patron. It's a way to sort of tip me every month. If you go to patreon.com/Bernie Thompson, you can become a patron too for as little as $5 a month. And it is anonymous. Nobody will know you're doing it. It's free, and it is easy to quit at any time. And I sure do need your help with that. I mean, this is how I do this, by the way, is through crowdfunding and sponsors. I couldn't do it if I was working for a local news station or for Talk Radio 101, News Talk 101. All right. Thank you so much for being with me. And there is a city council meeting this Thursday at 9 a.m. And I can't tell you how much I'd love it if you showed up. If you ever wanted to see what high drama is in a city council meeting, I've got a few things I've got to walk up there and say to them. That's always a spectacle. But it is really interesting to see it in person, to look around that room and see what's going on. It starts at 9 a.m. this Thursday at Panama City Beach City Hall. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I will see you again very soon.